All right. Hi, everybody. So it's been a while. Life happens, and I will say that a lot has happened since the last video. Let's see. Um, Last time was the golden thornberry, and since then I have moved countries. I no longer live in the United States. I am in Canada. And one of the things that I'll be doing in Canada is studying brewing, actually. I have been accepted into the program at Kwantlen Polytechnic University for brewing and brewing operations. And so from there, I will learn more about the art and science that is brewing. They mainly focus on beer, but on the side, I will still be brewing mead because that is what I want to do. So let's get started with our newest mead. Today, I will be making a mead using a local honey called Golden Meadows. I literally picked this up out of my mailbox today, and the apiary itself is not far away. It was just more convenient for me to mail it. And it's going to be a fireweed. And so I have never tasted fireweed honey, so I'm very, very excited to try it out and see how it ferments. Why don't we do that? Let's open it up and give it a quick taste. Nice and easy to open, always nice. Let me grab a spoon. Spoon. You know what? I should sanitize this real quick, because this honey will be going into the brew, of course. So let's have a quick taste. Look at that light color. It is ridiculous how light it is compared to any other honey I've ever seen. All right. Oh, that is delicate. Definitely sweet, of course, but it's unlike any other honey I've had before. Now, my honey experience really has only been with wildflower honey that one gets at the grocery store. Yes, I do make sure that it is real honey, none of that rice syrup kind of stuff, but generally it's been wildflower honey, and the last brew was blackberry honey, which was lovely, but this is different. This is going to be fun to ferment. I'll just keep eating this. Okay, so first thing is first, we will take our honey and put it in our pitcher because we're going to be stirring it, which reminds me, I need to get my spattle. We'll let that sanitize for a minute. So fireweed honey on the scale. Yes, it does say 1 kilogram because I am in Canada, but for now, I'm still going to be using, on this smaller scale, I will be using gallons and pounds because that is what currently sticks in my head. As I get going through school, that will change because the metric system just makes sense based on 10 versus all the weird numbers that the US standard measuring units are. So what we're going to do is 2.5 pounds of honey. Okay. We're so close. We're at 1.8 pounds. But as you can see, this particular honey jar is now empty. So we got to get out the second one. Yeah, made it. And honestly, I'm probably going to rinse this out with some water to get all of that honey. So, because this is a full 2.2 pounds, because that's what a kilogram is. So I just need to get another 0.3 pounds. So I'm at 1.888 there. So I need to get to 2.288. There we go. I can do math. All right. So we made it to 2.24. That's close enough for me. Put that in there. We'll wipe that off with a little tongue later. I'm not actually going to use my tongue, guys. Come on. Oh, so I have new bottles of water that I'm using, and they are very full apparently. So what's actually really good about this is that I get to oxygenate. Okay, we'll turn that off, 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 off. There we go. Now, why do I need to oxygenate? Well, yeast, the little fungi that they are, they need oxygen at the beginning of their lifespan where they're budding. So the more oxygen I give them, the more that they are able to bud and reproduce before they start making alcohol, and then they will be happy. If I introduce oxygen after alcohol is present, that's a problem. That starts getting off flavors. Not immediately. It does take time for that oxygen to do that, but we also just don't want oxygen unless we want it to taste like sherry. There we go. Oh, we're going to be here for a bit. Get that in there. And as you can see, we still have plenty of honey, so more water. Shake, 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 Sonata, shake it all the time. Harry Belafonte, anyone? Beetlejuice fan, you know. Actually, I remember that song mostly because of movie previews where, you know, it's a conglomeration of different movie like snippets of trailers, and they're back in the 90s. That shows my age. They used to do that, especially on VHSs. There we go. All right. Voila, that'll work. So now I shall begin stirring. Just a little bit, because this honey is gonna be fun. Am I gonna turn it over to the paddle side? Yes, I will, but not yet. Trying to get into the corners and loosen everything up. Again, not being particularly neat about it because we want the oxygen to get in there. All right, let's add some more water. I will say the paddle is actually kind of good to hold on to in this instance. There we go, in the corners. There we go. There we go. All right, you saw me sanitize my fingers, so I'm just gonna wipe that off, and then we'll use the paddle side. There we go. Ooh, yeah, definitely need to use the paddle. Not everything is dissolved in there yet. A little bit more water. All right, now let's get this into the fermenter. Yeah, I have new fermenters. I'm very excited about it because in this fermenter that is about 1.5 gallons, I'll actually be able to see a bit better of the fermentation, which I just, you just want to watch it kind of like a lava lamp. Again, showing my age. There we go. That's not too bad. We've got just a little bit of honey left in there, so a little bit more water. All right, there we go. So what I'm gonna do, there we go. Close this guy up. Ooh, my hand is sticky. All right, there's that. And now you might be able to see on here that there are indentations of the volume of the vessel. And right here, you can see, I can see at least, which is most important, that that line is 128 ounces. So up to the line we go. There we go. Which gives me a little bit of water left over. Nothing wrong with that. I get to drink that later. Another quick stir so that I can get a good gravity reading. Rachel, what is a gravity reading? A gravity reading tells us the density of a liquid compared to water in terms of fermentation. That is about sugars. It tells us how many fermentable sugars are in the brew. So with how much fermentable sugars we can read, that'll tell us roughly our ABV. So let's go ahead and get our gravity reading. There we go. All right, 23.5 bricks. Math is coming. That gives us a specific gravity reading of 1.099, which is practically perfect. It's almost exactly what I wanted. It probably has to do with just having a smidge less honey, or it could just be this particular honey doesn't have as many sugars. So, but with that, the potential alcohol is going to be about 12%, 12.5, depending on how dry it gets. So next, I want to get the pH of the brew. Get that. Why do you want the pH? Well, we want the pH because as this sits, there is always a possibility of things growing in it. And so we want it to be acidic enough to where it's not going to grow things like botulism, but we don't want it too acidic to kill the yeast. Killing the yeast is bad. That defeats the purpose of fermentation. All right, that is set, and in it goes. Oh, that's not good. Oh, here we go. Gotta let that sit for a bit. So that's going to take a little bit of time. We'll just have that be over here. Lean up against that. Very good. And because honey does not necessarily have all of the nutrients that yeast need to do their thing, I will be adding 2 grams of Fireweed O. Again, this is just a yeast nutrient with some nitrogen, and it helps the yeast survive, especially during these long processes. So, whoo, shush. It gets very clumpy. Oop, too much. 2.02 grams, that's close enough for me. And over time, even though it's clumpy, over time it'll just dissolve, if you will. So not worried about that getting all mixed up. Let's see how that pH is coming along. Slowly but surely. And one of the things about the fermentation process is that it is an acidifying process. So it's not terrible if the pH is higher than I would like, but I would prefer something below 5. So just a little bit on the acidifying side, on acidic side. Right now I'm at 6, but I'm not gonna lie, I also have not calibrated this pH meter since moving here. So yeah, it's just sitting at 6. So I probably just need to calibrate it. So I'm not particularly worried. We'll put this back because again, everything has been sanitized. And finally, our yeast. The yeast, this is still part of the honey experiment. So the yeast of choice is Saf ale, I don't know which way to pronounce it, S33. It's great for bringing out those honey notes without being overpowering with other esters. So we're just gonna sprinkle that on in. Get all the yeasty beasties in there. And then put our lid on with an airlock. We don't want things to blow up, and we also don't want other things to get inside. So here is our fireweed brew. I should know within the next day or 2 if it is fermenting or if I need to use a different packet of yeast. Otherwise, we'll see you in a few weeks. I imagine it'll be at least 3 weeks before I see anything worth taking a measurement of, but could be sooner, could be later. I will keep an eye on it, and I will see you guys next time.